There comes a time in every person's life when the winds begin to shift, when the atmosphere feels different, when the silence of the ordinary begins to tremble with the footsteps of the extraordinary. And I want to tell you tonight, with all the conviction of my heart, when God is about to move in your life, He does not leave you blind. He does not leave you in the dark. He sends you signs. Signs that shake you awake. Signs that stir your spirit. Signs that cannot be ignored if your heart is attentive. Some of you listening right now are on the verge of the greatest breakthrough of your life. But you must first understand that the disruption you feel, the restlessness that keeps you awake at night, the strange pull inside your soul, these are not accidents. They are clear signals that God is about to move. I do not speak tonight of small changes, of minor shifts. I speak of the hand of the Almighty preparing to open doors no man can shut, preparing to lift burdens that have chained you for years, preparing to exalt you where others have tried to hold you down. And when God is about to move, He begins to stir the waters. Just as a mighty storm is preceded by the gathering of clouds, so too the movement of God is preceded by unmistakable signs in your life. You must be wise enough and humble enough to discern them. For when God speaks through signs, He is calling your attention, He is demanding your focus, and He is preparing you to step into something far greater than what you can see today. One of the first signs that God is about to move is the disruption of your comfort. Comfort has a way of lulling us to sleep, of trapping us in patterns that make us numb to the possibilities beyond. But when God wants to move you, He disturbs your nest. Suddenly, the job that once satisfied you no longer brings peace, that once felt steady suddenly shake. The routines you depended on feel hollow. This is not because life has betrayed you. It is because God is preparing to shift you. He knows you cannot stay where you are and still receive what He has prepared for you. So He sends disruption, not as punishment, but as preparation. The discomfort you feel may very well be the hand of God stirring you to rise, to move, to break free from what is too small for your destiny. Another sign that God is about to move is the rising of an unexplainable restlessness in your spirit. You cannot explain it to others. You cannot even put it fully into words yourself, but deep down you know you are being called to something more. It is as though your heart hears a voice no one else can hear. And it tells you there is more, there is greater, there is beyond. That inner stirring is not a coincidence. It is not simply your imagination. It is the whisper of God, awakening you to the fact that your current season is coming to an end and a new season is about to begin. And when that restlessness comes, do not suppress it. Do not drown it in distractions. Lean into it, for it is God preparing your heart for His movement. And then there are the sudden closures of doors you thought would remain open forever. How many of you have faced moments where opportunities slipped from your hand, relationships ended unexpectedly, plans collapsed without warning? At the time, you wondered why God allowed it. At the time, you thought it was loss. But hear me clearly. When God closes a door, it is never to destroy you. It is to protect you and redirect you. That closed door is not a defeat. It is a sign that God is about to move you in a direction that your eyes have not yet seen. Every door that shuts under His authority is a signal that a greater door is about to open. Do not mourn the door that closed. Rejoice in the God who is leading you to something beyond what you could imagine. Sometimes The sign that God is about to move is the stripping away of people you thought you needed. It can feel lonely, it can feel cruel, but it is necessary. God knows that not everyone can go with you where He is taking you. Some voices must be silenced so you can hear His voice more clearly. Some attachments must be severed so you can be free to follow His path. And when you look around and find yourself standing with fewer companions, do not despair. That isolation is not abandonment, it is preparation. For it is often in the silence, in the solitude, that God reveals His most powerful instructions. And when He is about to move, He makes sure that nothing and no one hinders His plan in your life. There are also signs within your own thoughts, within your own mind, that God is about to move. Ideas that come suddenly, visions that flash in your heart, dreams that seem too big for your current situation. These are not mere fantasies. They are divine seeds being planted in your spirit. They are glimpses of the future God is preparing for you. And when such thoughts flood your mind, take them seriously. Write them down and pray to nurture them. For they are signs, signals that God is about to turn what was once impossible into reality. You may also notice that when God is about to move, opposition increases. Do not misunderstand resistance as rejection. When the enemy senses that God is preparing to lift you higher, he will fight harder to hold you down. Suddenly, you face obstacles you never faced before, challenges that seem overwhelming, voices that speak against you. This is not a sign that God has abandoned you. It is a sign that you are close to breakthrough. The darkest hour is always before dawn. The fiercest battles are fought at the edge of victory. So, when you feel the resistance growing stronger, take heart. It means the movement of God is drawing near. When God is about to move, He also awakens your sensitivity to His presence. Suddenly, you notice His hand in places you overlooked before. A scripture, a word spoken by a stranger, a moment of quiet reflection, all begin to carry a weight they did not carry before. You feel God drawing nearer, speaking louder, calling you deeper. This heightened awareness is not random. It is a divine sign that He is positioning you for what comes next. When your heart begins to burn with a deeper hunger for Him, know this: God is preparing you to receive the fullness of His movement. And then, perhaps the most unmistakable sign, peace that makes no sense. Everything around you may look chaotic, uncertain, even threatening. Yet inside, you feel a calm assurance, a steady confidence that somehow everything is under control. That peace is not from this world. That peace is not from your own strength. It is the peace of God guarding your heart and mind, anchoring you even when storms rage. And when that peace settles over you in the midst of turmoil, it is a sure sign that God Himself is about to move on your behalf. My friends, these signs are not to be taken lightly. They are the fingerprints of the Almighty upon your life. And if you are discerning, if you are watchful, you will see them, you will recognize them, and you will prepare yourself for the moment God steps in with power. Too often, we miss the movement of God because we fail to heed the signs. Too often, we dismiss the disruption, we ignore the restlessness, we cling to closed doors, we resist the stripping, we overlook the ideas, we fear the opposition, we disregard the peace. And in doing so, we delay what God intended to do swiftly. But if you will awaken your heart, if you will tune your spirit, if you will open your eyes, you will not miss it. You will be ready when God moves. When God is about to move, He not only sends signs in your circumstances, He sends a deep shaking within your very soul. That stirring is not something you can fabricate. It is not a fleeting emotional moment. It is a holy disturbance that will not let you remain the same. It is as though God Himself places His hand upon your heart and presses until you know you must change direction. That unease you cannot silence, that urgency you cannot explain, is not there to torment you, but to awaken you. For when God is preparing to lift you into the next season of your destiny, He must first awaken your spirit so that you do not sleep through His visitation. Do not mistake that divine stirring for confusion. Confusion comes from doubt, but the stirring of God comes with clarity. It comes with a voice inside you saying, "Rise, for you cannot stay where you are." It comes with a conviction that no matter how secure your present appears, you know it is too small for the greatness God has written into your story. And though your mind may argue, though your circumstances may resist, your spirit knows beyond all doubt that God is getting ready to move. Another clear sign that God is about to move in your life is that He begins to strip away your reliance on human strength. There will be moments when you find that the people you depended on can no longer carry you, that the resources you once leaned on suddenly dry up, that the systems you trusted fail to hold you, and in that moment, you might cry out in frustration. You may even wonder why God has allowed such loss. But do not mistake His intention. God removes every false support so that you learn to lean entirely on Him. For if you are to witness His movement in your life, you must know without question that it was His power, not man's, that lifted you. He strips away your reliance on the temporary to anchor you in the eternal. When God is about to move, He also sharpens your vision. You begin to see life differently. What once looked ordinary now seems pregnant with divine purpose. You look at your past struggles and suddenly recognize that they were preparing you for something greater. You see doors that once intimidated you as opportunities to display the glory of God. It is as though a veil is lifted from your eyes and you perceive what you could not perceive before. This sharpening of vision is no accident. It is God preparing you to recognize the path when He opens it. For a door can stand wide before you, but if your eyes are still blind, you will miss it. And so God clears your sight. He adjusts your focus. He aligns your vision with His so that when the moment comes, you are ready to walk through the way He has prepared. Another unmistakable sign of God's movement is divine timing. There comes a moment when everything that once felt delayed suddenly begins to align. Prayers you thought were forgotten resurface with answers. Opportunities that once seemed distant are suddenly within reach. People who had no reason to cross your path are placed right in front of you. And you realize that what seemed like waiting was never wasted. It was divine preparation. God was orchestrating the unseen, arranging the pieces, positioning you so that when the time was ripe, His movement could unfold without hindrance. And when that alignment begins, when doors open without you forcing them, when opportunities find you instead of you chasing them, you can be certain that God is on the move. When God is about to move, He also gives you an unshakable conviction in the face of doubt. People may tell you it cannot be done. Circumstances may appear impossible. The evidence may scream against you. Yet deep inside, there rises a conviction you cannot silence. It is not arrogance, it is not pride, it is faith placed by God Himself. That conviction is His assurance that what He has spoken will come to pass, no matter what the world says. And when you carry that conviction, do not let anyone talk you out of it. Guard it as treasure, for that inner certainty is proof that God is about to do what only He can do. Sometimes the sign comes as unusual tests, trials that press you harder than before, battles that seem to multiply on every side. And you wonder why it feels like life has grown harsher at the very moment you are trying to do right. But hear this, trials intensify not to destroy you, but to refine you. God allows the fire so that the impurities burn away, so that when He lifts you higher, you can withstand the weight of the blessing. For blessings without refinement become curses, but blessings after fire become testimonies of God's faithfulness. When your trials increase, do not despair. It is often the sign that you are closest to seeing God's hand move in power. And perhaps one of the most powerful signs is the sudden clarity of purpose. For years, you may wander, searching for meaning, questioning your path. But when God is about to move, He makes your purpose undeniable. It may come in the quiet of prayer, in the stillness of the night, in the sudden flash of inspiration. But when it comes, it anchors you. It directs you. It gives you courage to step where you once hesitated. And though others may not understand, you will know without question that God has marked your path. That clarity of purpose is not your imagination. It is a divine sign that you are about to step into the reason you were created. When God prepares to move, He also awakens a hunger in you that nothing else can satisfy. The entertainment you once enjoyed feels empty. The distractions you once pursued lose their appeal. The approval of people no longer fulfills you. There is a deeper craving inside you, a craving for God, for His presence, for His truth. That hunger is not there by chance. It is the divine pull of your spirit toward the one who is about to pour Himself into your life in a greater measure. Do not ignore that hunger. Do not try to silence it. Feed it. For it is proof that you are being prepared for a movement of God that will change everything. And finally, when God is about to move, He surrounds you with confirmation. The same message comes to you through different voices. The same thought echoes in different circumstances. You hear the same truth repeated in ways you cannot dismiss. That is God making sure you do not miss His signal. He speaks once, He speaks twice, and then He confirms again so that you know beyond doubt that it is Him. And when those confirmations come, do not brush them aside as coincidences. They are divine signatures upon your life, proof that the Almighty is guiding you, preparing you, and moving you into the destiny He has written. My friend, if you have noticed these signs stirring in your life, do not ignore them. God is speaking. God is preparing. God is moving. And the greatest mistake you could make is to sleep while the hand of the Almighty is at work. Open your eyes, sharpen your ears, soften your heart. For the signs are not random. They are deliberate signals from heaven that the time has come for you to rise into the fullness of what God has destined for you. When God is about to move, He will often allow the ordinary to grow unbearable so that you will not settle for less than what He has prepared for you. Some of you are asking why your life feels so heavy, why your spirit feels so unsatisfied, even when everything looks fine from the outside. It is because God is stirring you out of complacency. He does not want you to build a house in the valley when He has prepared a mountain for you to climb. That dissatisfaction is not a curse, it is a calling. It is a holy dissatisfaction placed within you by God Himself so that you will rise from the comfort of the familiar and step into the territory of faith where His power is revealed. There are moments when God strips away everything you thought defined you, not to leave you empty, but to show you that your true identity is rooted in Him alone. When positions are lost, when titles fade, when the applause of people goes silent, you may feel exposed. But in that silence, you discover the voice of God saying, "You are mine, and I have marked you for more than this world can give." That is a sign, that is evidence that God is positioning you for a move so great that it cannot rest on human affirmation. It must rest on divine confirmation. When God is about to move, He also awakens in you a courage you never knew you had. Suddenly, the fear that held you captive begins to weaken. The chains that once kept you still begin to loosen. Where you once said, "I cannot," you now hear yourself declaring, "With God, I will." This courage is not born of your own strength. It is the Spirit of the Almighty breathing boldness into your soul so that when the opportunity arises, you will not shrink back, you will step forward. That boldness is a sign that God has already gone ahead of you to make the path straight. At times, the signs of God's movement come through unexpected interruptions. Your plans collapse. Your carefully laid agenda falls apart. You cry out in frustration, but later you realize it was the very interruption that led you to your true destiny. What you thought was a setback was God's hand redirecting you. If He had allowed your plan to succeed, you would have missed the greater purpose He had designed. So, when life seems to interrupt your schedule, pause and ask, is this a sign? Is this God moving me away from what I want to give me what I truly need? For often, the detour is the very proof that God is guiding you. Sometimes, God reveals His coming movement through an increase in your capacity to endure. Where before you would have broken under pressure, now you stand steady. Where before you would have given up, now you persevere. That is no accident. God is stretching you, strengthening you, preparing you for the weight of the blessing that is on its way. You may not see it yet, but your resilience in the storm is a sign that God is fortifying you for a move so significant that only a stronger version of you can carry it. Another sign that God is about to move is when He sends you divine connections. People who carry wisdom, resources, or encouragement that align perfectly with your step. These are not ordinary encounters. They are orchestrated meetings by the hand of God. Pay attention to the people who suddenly enter your life with words that ignite your spirit, with guidance that confirms what God has already whispered in your heart. They are signs. They are messengers placed strategically so that you will not walk into the next season blind, but prepared and supported. Do not think that the signs of God's movement always come with comfort. More often, they come with conflict, for it is in the struggle that your faith is sharpened, in the battle that your trust is proved. And when you find yourself surrounded by pressure on every side, remember that the pressure is proof that something is about to be birthed. God is not punishing you, He is pushing you. Every challenge is a contraction, signaling that a new life, a new opportunity, a new destiny is about to emerge. There are also moments when God signals His movement by silencing you. You may want to fight back. You may want to prove yourself. You may want to argue with those who misunderstand you. But you feel an overwhelming restraint, a stillness in your spirit that says, "Be quiet and let me work." That restraint is not weakness, it is divine discipline. God is saying, stand still and watch how I move. When He pulls you into silence, it is because He is about to speak louder through his actions than you ever could with your words. Another powerful sign is the breaking of patterns. Maybe for years you repeated the same mistakes, fell into the same cycles, walked the same circles. But then, without warning, you feel empowered to break free. The temptation that once gripped you loses its hold. The mindset that once imprisoned you begins to crumble. That breaking of cycles is not mere willpower. It is the intervention of God. It is his movement within you, preparing you for the outward breakthrough that is about to follow. And then there are those unmistakable whispers of hope that rise within you, even when everything looks hopeless. Others may see your situation as finished, but inside you, there's a quiet voice telling you, hold on, something is coming. That hope is not Nabi. It is not denial. It is God planting his assurance in your spirit that he is about to act. It is the anchor that keeps you steady when the storm tries to convince you to give up. That inner hope is not yours alone. It is a divine sign that God has already written victory into your story. My beloved, the signs are all around you if you are willing to see them. Do not harden your heart when God disrupts your comfort. Do not close your ears when restlessness calls. Do not despair when doors shut, when people leave, when trials increase. These are not signs of defeat. They are signs of destiny. They are the evidence that the Almighty is moving. And if you will be alert, if you will stay watchful, you will not be caught unaware. You will stand ready, aligned, prepared to step into the fullness of what God is about to release over your life. When God is about to move, he often begins by breaking the rhythm of your life. The patterns that once felt predictable suddenly shift. The comfort of routine is shaken, and you find yourself walking through days that feel unfamiliar. This is no accident. God is interrupting the ordinary so that you can perceive the extraordinary. He knows that if you are too comfortable with the rhythm of yesterday, you will miss the melody of tomorrow. And so he disrupts your pace, not to confuse you, but to awaken you to the sound of his footsteps drawing near. At times, the sign of God's movement comes as a sudden increase in your awareness of time. You begin to feel an urgency you cannot explain. You sense that you cannot waste another day. That procrastination has cost you too much already. That urgency is not your own. It is God impressing upon your spirit that a window is opening. And if you delay, you may miss it. The Almighty is teaching you that there are divine appointments that cannot be rescheduled. When he begins to stir urgency in your heart, it is a sign that his move is imminent, and you must be ready to step when he says step. Sometimes, God reveals his coming movement through hidden preparation. You may feel unseen, overlooked, forgotten, but God is using that hidden season to equip you. He is sharpening skills you did not know you would need. He is molding your character for challenges you have not yet faced. You may look around and wonder why doors remain closed. But the truth is, God is keeping you in the secret place until the appointed time. For when he reveals you, he does not want you half prepared. He wants you strong, grounded, unshakable. That hidden preparation is a sign that the unveiling is near. Another unmistakable sign is the stirring of compassion within your heart. Suddenly, you begin to care deeply for things you once ignored. You feel moved to help, to serve, to heal. That compassion is not weakness. It is God aligning your heart with his own. For his movements are never only about blessing you, they are about positioning you to bless others. When you find your heart breaking for what breaks the heart of God, when you feel compelled to serve even when it costs you, Take note. That compassion is a sign that God is preparing to use you as an instrument of His movement on the earth. When God is about to move, He often surrounds you with signs in nature and creation. The stillness of a morning, the unexpected beauty of a sunset, the whisper of the wind. It is as though the world itself is reminding you of His power and presence. For the same God who commands the seas and shapes the mountains is the one who moves in your life. When He stirs creation to speak to you, it is a reminder that His movement is not distant, not delayed. It is near, it is real, and it is coming. Another sign is that God begins to strip away distractions. Things that once consumed your time and attention suddenly lose their grip. The appetite for what is shallow begins to die. You realize that what once seemed urgent no longer matters. This detachment is not by chance. It is God clearing the clutter so that you can hear His voice without interference. He knows you cannot carry the weight of His movement if your heart is tangled in trivial pursuits. And so He cuts away the excess, not to punish you, but to free you. At times, God signals His movement through tests of obedience. He places before you small instructions, simple commands, to see if your heart is willing to follow. It may be a nudge to forgive, a call to release bitterness, an instruction to give, or a prompting to step away from something harmful. These small obediences are not random. They are tests of readiness. For if you cannot obey in the little, how will you obey in the great? And when you sense God calling you to take steps of obedience that stretch you, know this, it is a sign that He is preparing to entrust you with something far greater. Sometimes the sign that God is about to move is the sudden exposure of truth. Lies that once seemed convincing are uncovered. Deceptions that once blinded you are revealed. You begin to see clearly who and what was for you and who and what was against you. That exposure is not meant to hurt you. It is meant to protect you. God cannot move you forward while you are entangled in falsehood. So He shines His light into every corner, tearing down illusions, stripping away pretense, so that you can walk in the truth that sets you free. There are also seasons when God signals His movement by overwhelming you with gratitude. Even in the midst of difficulty, you find yourself thanking Him for breath, for strength, for life. That spirit of gratitude is not ordinary. It is the overflow of His presence drawing near. Gratitude shifts your perspective, aligns your heart, and prepares you for the blessings He is about to release. When your spirit suddenly swells with thanksgiving, it is a sign that the Almighty is opening His hand to pour out more than you imagine. And perhaps one of the most profound signs is the alignment of your inner desires with God's will. Where once you craved what was destructive, now you long for what is righteous. Where once your ambitions were selfish, now your heart yearns to honor God. That shift of desire is not your doing. It is His. It is the clearest evidence that His movement has already begun inside you, and soon it will manifest around you. When your desires change, when your heart hungers for the things of God more than the things of the world, it is a sign that you are standing on the threshold of transformation. When God is about to move, He often brings a shaking that tests the very foundation of your life. The structures you once trusted begin to tremble. The plans you once clung to begin to fall apart. The relationships you thought were unshakable begin to shift. And in that shaking, fear may try to take hold of you. But hear me clearly, the shaking is not sent to destroy you. It is sent to reveal what cannot be shaken. God is showing you that everything built on sand will fall, but what he establishes will stand forever. When the ground beneath you feels unstable, do not despair. It is a sign that God is preparing to establish your feet on a foundation that no storm can move. There are times when the sign of God's movement comes in the form of clarity during chaos. The world around you may swirl with uncertainty. Voices may conflict. Confusion may reign. Yet in the midst of it, a still, steady conviction rises in your spirit. That clarity is not from the world. It is from God. It is His way of guiding you through the storm, His way of separating His voice from the noise. When everything outside of you is loud, but within you there is peace and direction, it is a sign that the Almighty is leading you into the next step of His plan. When God is about to move, He also enlarges your faith. Suddenly, you begin to believe for things that once seemed impossible. You start praying bolder prayers, dreaming bigger dreams, and expecting greater things. That shift is not pride. It is the Spirit of God expanding your capacity to receive. For He knows that small faith cannot carry great blessings. He must first stretch your faith, awaken your expectation, so that when He pours out, you are ready to contain it. When your prayers shift from the ordinary to the extraordinary, take notice. God is stirring your faith because His hand is about to move. Another sign that God is preparing to act is the sudden breaking of old ties that once bound you. Addictions lose their grip. Habits that enslaved you begin to crumble. Patterns that once seemed unbreakable suddenly collapse. This freedom is not your doing. It is God's. For He will not allow chains to remain on you when He is about to lead you into freedom. If you find yourself walking away from things you once thought you could never leave behind, rejoice. It is a sign that God has already begun His movement within you. Sometimes God signals His movement by placing you in situations where only His power can deliver you. He lets the resources run dry. He allows human help to fail. He permits the challenge to grow beyond your strength. Why? Because He wants you to see with your own eyes that only He could have done it. When you stand in a situation where no man can help you, no system can save you, and no strategy can deliver you, know this. It is the perfect setup for God to move. And when He does, there will be no doubt, no question, no confusion. Everyone will know that it was God who stepped in. At times, the sign of God's coming move is a shift in your priorities. What once mattered no longer holds the same weight. You begin to let go of pursuits that once consumed you. Your appetite for the temporary fades, and your focus shifts to the eternal. That reordering of priorities is not coincidence. It is God aligning your heart with His own. He knows you cannot carry the weight of His blessing while chasing after distractions. And so He recalibrates your desires, stripping away what is meaningless so that you can be entrusted with what is priceless. When God is about to move, He also increases the weight of conviction in your heart. Things you once ignored, you can no longer overlook. Behaviors you once excused, you can no longer justify. That heavy conviction is not condemnation. It is preparation. God is cleansing you, purifying you, shaping you so that when He moves, nothing within you will hinder the flow of His blessing. When you feel that holy pressure pressing on your conscience, do not resist it. It is a sign that God is sanctifying you for what is coming. There are also seasons when the sign of God's movement comes through dreams and visions. Ideas begin to flood your mind. Pictures of a future you cannot explain. You wake with clarity about things you never considered before. Those dreams are not random. They are divine previews of what God is preparing. They are glimpses into the blueprint of heaven. Pay attention to them, for they are signs that God is moving in the unseen, and soon it will manifest in the visible. Sometimes the sign comes as an unusual boldness to step out of the boat, to leave behind safety, to walk on waters you once feared. This courage is not natural, it is God-breathed. It is His Spirit nudging you, saying, now is the time. And though fear may whisper in your ear, the fire in your spirit will not let you remain where you are. That boldness is a sign. It is proof that God is calling you to move with Him, to trust Him, to follow Him into places you never imagined. And when God is about to move, He often allows the enemy to reveal himself more openly. Attacks increase. Opposition rises. Resistance becomes obvious. But do not be afraid. That exposure is a sign that God is about to deliver you. For the enemy always fights hardest when he knows his time is short. When the attacks intensify, it means you are on the verge of breakthrough. Do not run. Do not retreat. Stand firm. For the opposition is proof that the Almighty is already at work and victory is near. My beloved, these are not coincidences. These are not accidents. Deliberate, divine signs that the Almighty is moving in your life. The restlessness in your spirit, the shaking of your foundation, the urgency in your heart, the clarity in your mind, the boldness in your prayers. These are the fingerprints of God. And if you have the courage to discern them, the humility to yield to them, the faith to act on them, you will not miss His movement. You will step into it with confidence, and you will see with your own eyes what the power of God can do when He chooses to move. And so I say to you with all the weight of truth upon my heart, do not despise the season you are in, for God wastes nothing. The waiting, the shaking, the silence, the struggle, it is all part of His design. What looks delayed is being perfected. What feels like loss is making room for increase. What seems like the end is the very place where God begins. Trust Him when you cannot trace Him. Believe Him when you cannot see Him. Hold on when everything within you wants to let go. For the one who holds the heavens and the earth also holds your life in His hands. Lift your head and stand strong. For the Almighty has not abandoned you. He is closer to you than the breath in your lungs. His power is greater than the storm around you, and His wisdom is deeper than the questions within you. You may feel pressed, but you are not crushed. You may feel struck down, but you are not destroyed. You may feel surrounded, but you are not forsaken. God has already written your victory before you even step into the battle. Therefore, walk forward with courage. Do not shrink back. Do not retreat. Do not surrender to fear. The same God who parted the sea, who brought water from the rock, who made a way in the wilderness, is the same God who walks before you now. If He is for you, then nothing can stand against you. If His hand is upon you, then no power on earth can stop what He's ordained. So take heart, for your story is not ending in defeat. It is rising toward destiny. The hand of God is moving even now. Believe it, embrace it, and step into it. For when God is about to do something in your life, no force in heaven or earth can delay it, and no enemy can destroy it. Your season is changing. Your breakthrough is near, and your life will be a testimony that the power of God is real, unshakable, and unstoppable. There are moments in life when the very air around you begins to shift. You cannot explain it, but you feel it. Something inside whispers that God is preparing you for something extraordinary. My friend, when God is moving in your life, when God is preparing your heart for a prophetic marriage, it will not feel like ordinary love, nor will it resemble the shallow relationships of this world. It will feel like destiny because it is destiny. God is not a God of chance, He is a God of purpose. And when He prepares you for a prophetic marriage, He does so with divine order, with heavenly alignment, and with power that no force on earth can shake. But hear me clearly, God does not entrust such a sacred covenant to the careless, the unprepared, or the distracted. God prepares, He molds, He refines, He breaks, and He builds again. If you sense that you are in a season of being pulled apart, stretched beyond your comfort zone, or pressed in ways you have never known before, it may be that God is preparing you. He is shaping your heart to carry the weight of a prophetic marriage. One that is not merely about companionship, but about advancing His will, about becoming a testimony, about walking in unity under His divine covering. The first sign is in the breaking. God will not send you into a covenant still clinging to the wounds of yesterday. If you feel like the pain of your past relationships still lingers, if the betrayal you endured once upon a time still stings, and suddenly you find yourself being healed, being restored, being lifted above bitterness and anger, this is God at work. He is not just wiping away your tears, He is cleansing your spirit so that love rooted in His truth may blossom. God does not want you to carry old scars into a holy union. He wants to free you so that when He joins you to the one He has chosen, you are able to love in purity, not in fear, not in suspicion, not in chains. The second sign is in the stretching of your character. God will begin to convict you of things you once overlooked. Perhaps you were careless with your words, quick to anger, or selfish with your time. Suddenly, God begins to call you higher. You notice Him nudging you to walk in patience, to walk in humility, to walk in forgiveness. Why? Because prophetic marriage requires two people who are spiritually mature enough to carry each other's burdens. God will not bring you into it until you have learned to surrender your pride and walk in selflessness. You will feel His hand pushing you to grow. The struggles you face in this season are not punishments, they are preparations. The third sign is in the redirection of your desires. When God is preparing you, you will find your heart turning away from the superficial. What once attracted you will no longer move you. The glitter of appearances will fade, and you will begin to crave depth, authenticity, and spiritual alignment. God will place in you a hunger for someone who prays, someone who stands, someone who carries His light. And you will notice something remarkable. Your standards will no longer be based on what pleases people, but on what pleases God. When your heart begins to desire what God desires, that is a sure sign that He is shaping you for something holy. The fourth sign is in your isolation. There will come a time when God pulls you away from the noise. Friends may distance themselves. Opportunities may dry up. You may even feel forgotten. But listen to me, God hides His chosen vessels. He separates them so He can speak to them. In that quiet place, He reveals secrets. In that solitude, He strengthens your discernment. He teaches you how to hear His voice, because in prophetic marriage, you cannot rely on the opinions of others. You must hear Him clearly. If you feel hidden right now, it is not rejection, it is protection. God is drawing you close because He is about to entrust you with someone who will walk beside you in His calling. The fifth sign is in the alignment of your path. Doors will begin to close, and others will suddenly open. God will redirect your steps so that you are positioned in the right place at the right time for His will to unfold. Sometimes this means moving to a new city. Sometimes it means stepping into a new assignment. Sometimes it simply means letting go of the wrong people. But every shift, every transition, every divine rearrangement is part of the puzzle. God is not a God of coincidence. If your life seems to be rearranging beyond your control, it is because God is weaving the threads of destiny. He is preparing the meeting point where His plan will come alive. The sixth sign is in the burden for purpose.
you will begin to sense that your life is not just about you anymore. You will feel God calling you to greater service, to deeper faith, to higher obedience. You will realize that marriage is not simply about happiness, it is about holiness, about carrying out a mission together. You will sense that God is not giving you a partner just to ease your loneliness, but to multiply your effectiveness. The person He prepares for you will not only love you, they will stand with you in the work of God. If you feel a rising fire within you, a conviction that your life must be used for something greater, it may be the stirring of God preparing you for a prophetic marriage that will advance His kingdom. The seventh sign is in the peace of God that surpasses all understanding. You may not know the details. You may not see the person yet. You may not even have clarity about when, but there will be a calm assurance deep inside that God is orchestrating it all. When doubt tries to creep in, His peace will silence it. When fear tries to overwhelm you, His assurance will cover you. This peace is not natural, it is divine. It is God's way of telling you, trust me, I am in control. When you sense this unshakable peace despite the uncertainty, it is a clear sign that God's hand is upon you, preparing you for a prophetic covenant. And I must tell you, beloved, prophetic marriage is not for the faint of heart. It is not for those who treat love as a casual game. It is not for those who run when things get hard. It is for those who are surrendered to God's will, who are willing to love with endurance, to stand with strength, to forgive with mercy, and to build with faith. God does not play with sacred unions. He does not throw them together in haste. He refines, He tests, He shapes, until you are ready to carry the weight of such a covenant. When God prepares you for prophetic marriage, He does not simply polish the surface of your life. He reaches into the deepest places of your heart and begins to transform you from within. He strips away the counterfeit loves, the false securities, and the shallow pursuits that once held your attention, and He replaces them with an unshakable desire for His truth. This is not merely preparation for companionship, it is preparation for covenant, a covenant that reflects His order, His holiness, and His eternal wisdom. You see, God does not entrust the sacred to the careless. He does not release prophetic destiny into hands that are still clinging to temporary pleasures. That is why, before He places a prophetic spouse in your life, He will take you through seasons of pruning. He will cut away the branches that bear no fruit. He will expose the pride, the impatience, the anger, the unforgiveness, the hidden desires of the flesh that once ruled you. It may hurt. It may feel like loss. But it is divine surgery, because God is not preparing you to merely get married. He is preparing you to carry the weight of a union that will testify to His greatness. One of the most profound signs that God is preparing you is the awakening of your spirit to the sacredness of covenant. When the world speaks of marriage, it speaks in terms of romance, passion, and personal satisfaction. But when God speaks of marriage, He speaks in terms of unity, purpose, and endurance. He begins to train your mind to see love as service, to see sacrifice as strength, to see loyalty as beauty. He will change your definition of love. Suddenly, it will no longer be about what you can receive, but about what you can give. That shift in your heart is not a small thing. It is the fingerprint of God reshaping you for a prophetic partnership. Another sign is the call to purity, not only physical purity, but purity of mind, purity of intention, purity of desire. God will begin to convict you when you entertain thoughts that do not align with His will. He will nudge you when your motives are tainted with selfishness. He will guard you from people whose presence stirs confusion instead of clarity. Why? Because a prophetic marriage cannot be built on defiled foundations. It must rest on holiness. And so, when God is preparing you, He will clean your inner world. He will break the chains of lust, greed, vanity, and ego so that your love, when it comes, is clean, strong, and uncorrupted. Listen to me, God does not prepare you for prophetic marriage by giving you everything you desire. He prepares you by shaping you into everything He requires. That is why you may find yourself in a season where you feel misunderstood, where others cannot see your value, where doors seem slow to open. But what looks like rejection is often redirection. God is sparing you from counterfeit connections. He is keeping you hidden from people who would mishandle your heart. He is setting you apart because He has ordained someone whose spirit is aligned with yours, whose calling matches yours, whose destiny is tied to yours. Do not despise the waiting. Waiting is not wasted time, it is sacred time. It is in waiting that God teaches you patience, endurance, and trust. It is in waiting that He refines your vision so you can discern the one He sends from the imitations that the enemy will throw your way. If God allowed you to step into marriage without this refining, you would not have the wisdom to recognize the prophetic partner He prepared. But through waiting, through fasting, through prayer, through surrender, God sharpens your discernment until your spirit can instantly sense when His promise has arrived. There is also the test of obedience. When God prepares you, He will ask things of you that may not make sense to your human understanding. He may instruct you to let go of a relationship that feels comfortable but is not destined. He may ask you to leave a job, move to a new place, or step into a calling that seems beyond your ability. These are not random commands, they are divine alignments. For a prophetic marriage is not about what feels easy, it is about what fulfills His will. And if you are not willing to obey in the small things, you will not be ready for the great responsibility of covenant. And hear this, when God is preparing you, He will confront the idols in your life. If you have placed your happiness, your worth, or your identity in people, He will remove them so that you learn to anchor yourself in Him alone. Because in a prophetic marriage, your spouse is not meant to be your God, but your partner in serving God. If you are still expecting a human being to complete you, God will withhold the prophetic union until you learn that only He can complete you. Only when He becomes your first love will He entrust you with another soul to love. God is also strategic in how He aligns prophetic marriages. He will shape your destiny in such a way that your calling and your spouse's calling are not in conflict, but in harmony. That is why He sometimes delays, because He is still preparing the other person. You may be ready, but they may not be, or they may be ready, but you may not. But when the time is right, when both vessels are purified, when both hearts are surrendered, when both lives are aligned, then God will orchestrate the meeting. It will not be by accident, it will be by divine appointment. And when it happens, you will know it will not be the dizzying confusion of lust. It will not be the fragile excitement of fleeting romance. It will be a steady peace, a holy certainty, a quiet conviction deep within your soul that God has joined what no man can separate. That peace is the signature of God. That stillness is His seal. When you feel it, you will not have to beg. You will not have to manipulate. You will not have to force anything. It will flow because it is ordained. When God prepares you for a prophetic marriage, He does not simply prepare your emotions. He prepares your entire life. He shapes your mind, your spirit, your habits, and even your surroundings. You begin to notice that everything in your world starts aligning with divine order. What once distracted you suddenly loses its grip. The people who pulled you away from your purpose slowly fade from your life, and in their place, God begins to bring clarity, focus, and divine redirection. This is not coincidence. This is orchestration. God is arranging your life so that when the prophetic union comes, nothing will stand in the way of what He has ordained. One of the most powerful signs that God is preparing you is the development of spiritual resilience. Before He places you in covenant, He ensures you can stand firm in the storms. Prophetic marriages are not ordinary. They are attacked because they carry purpose. And so, if you find yourself in a season where trials come one after another, understand this: it is not because you are forgotten, but because you are being fortified. God is building your endurance so that when the union comes, you will not break under pressure. He is training you to fight battles on your knees, to withstand lies, to rise above slander, to walk with strength even when the world turns against you. This resilience is not optional, it is essential, for prophetic love must be able to stand against opposition. Another sign is the sharpening of your discernment. God will not allow you to enter a covenant blind. He will begin to reveal hidden truths, expose counterfeit intentions, and open your eyes to the unseen. People you once trusted may suddenly reveal their true colors. Relationships you thought were permanent may collapse. Do not despair when this happens, for God is showing you that not every hand that reaches for you is meant to hold you. He is teaching you to distinguish between the counterfeit and the genuine. Because when your prophetic spouse arrives, you must be able to discern without doubt. You must recognize their spirit beyond their words, their character beyond their appearance, their soul beyond the surface. This clarity is a gift from God. It will protect you from being deceived. God will also call you to deeper levels of surrender. When He prepares you for prophetic marriage, He demands that your will bow to His. You may have had a plan for your life. Perhaps you pictured your future in a certain way, imagined the kind of person you thought you would marry. But then God interrupts, and suddenly the path looks different. Suddenly the person He is shaping for you is not what you expected. This is the moment of surrender when you learn to say, God, not my will, but yours. For a prophetic marriage is not about what you envisioned, it is about what He ordained. If you cling to your own script, you will miss His masterpiece. That is why surrender is crucial. When you release your expectations, you make room for God's perfection. There is also the sign of inner transformation. Before God joins two people, He refines each one individually. You may notice yourself becoming more compassionate, more patient, more forgiving, more stable. The things that once stirred anger in you may no longer provoke you. The wounds that once controlled your actions may no longer define you. This is God preparing your heart so that when He joins it to another, it will not be a source of pain, but a source of healing. He is making you whole, not so that your spouse will complete you, but so that you may come into the covenant already filled with His strength. Two whole souls, joined under God, create a bond that cannot be shaken. Do not overlook the way God refines your vision in this season. When He prepares you for prophetic marriage, He lifts your eyes from temporary pleasure to eternal purpose. You begin to see relationships differently. You no longer ask, does this person make me happy? But instead, does this person align with God's plan for my life? Your questions change because your perspective changes. You no longer seek just affection. You seek divine alignment. And that shift is powerful because prophetic marriage is not just about comfort, it is about mission. God does not join you to someone simply to ease your loneliness. He joins you to someone to multiply your impact, to strengthen your calling, to advance His will. And let us not forget that preparation always comes with testing. God will allow situations that challenge your patience, tempt your faith, and stretch your endurance. You may be faced with loneliness that feels unbearable, with delays that test your hope, with moments where you wonder if God has forgotten you. But remember this, silence does not mean absence. Delay does not mean denial. God is still working behind the scenes, still aligning, still orchestrating. He is testing your faith because prophetic covenant requires a faith that does not crumble under waiting. If you cannot trust Him in the delay, how will you trust Him when challenges come within the marriage? The test is proof that He is preparing you for something sacred. And perhaps the most beautiful sign of all is the peace that begins to cover you even in uncertainty. You may not know who, you may not know when, but deep within, there is a calm assurance that God is in control. It is a peace that no friend can explain, no enemy can shake, and no circumstance can destroy. This peace is the voice of God saying, I am preparing you, I am guiding you, I am with you. Hold on to that peace, for it is the anchor that will steady you until the day His promise is revealed. When God prepares you for a prophetic marriage, He does something that many overlook. He begins to reorder your priorities. Suddenly, the things that once consumed your attention lose their grip. The desire to chase after shallow approval fades, and in its place rises a hunger for righteousness, a yearning to please God above all else. This is not accidental, it is intentional. For how can two walk together unless they are agreed? And how can a covenant built on divine purpose flourish unless the individuals within it have already chosen God as their highest priority? That is why preparation begins not with finding the right person, but with becoming the right vessel. A prophetic marriage requires a foundation stronger than emotion, deeper than attraction, and more enduring than circumstance. God knows that the storms of life will test every union. Finances will be tested. Health may be tested. Families and friendships may be tested. And if the union rests only on human will, it will collapse under the weight of trial. But when God is the center, when both hearts have been trained to trust Him above all, then no storm can shatter it. This is why He refines you now, so that your faith is unshakable, your love is unselfish, and your loyalty is unmovable. Another sign of His preparation is the way He awakens a spirit of responsibility within you. Love in a prophetic marriage is not childish, not selfish, not shallow. It demands maturity. It requires that you care not only for your own well-being, but also for the well-being of another. God will test this in small ways before He entrusts you with something greater. He may call you to serve people who cannot repay you. He may place someone in your path who needs patience, compassion, and understanding. He may stir within you a burden to pray, not just for yourself, but for others. All of this is training. All of this is His way of shaping your spirit, so that when you step into covenant, you are not unprepared, but already carrying the heart of a servant. Do not be surprised if during this season God allows certain doors to shut firmly. You may wonder why relationships that look promising suddenly dissolve, or why people you once leaned on now seem distant. Do not mistake this as failure, it is refinement. God is removing the counterfeits, the distractions, and the imposters, because He knows they cannot walk with you into your destiny. It is better to be temporarily alone with God than permanently tied to someone who was never meant to walk your prophetic path. Trust the closing of doors, because every no is making room for His greater Wes. And let us speak plainly, prophetic marriage is not about finding someone to complete you, because completion belongs to God alone. If you are still seeking wholeness in another person, God will withhold the covenant until you learn that only He can fill the emptiness. A prophetic spouse is not sent to replace God, but to walk with you as you both serve Him. That is why He insists on your healing before your joining. If your heart is still fractured from betrayal, if bitterness still dictates your decisions, if wounds still govern your reactions, He will keep you in the refining fire until you are free. God does not place unhealed souls into prophetic unions, for brokenness left unchecked becomes a weapon in the enemy's hands. Healing must come first, and it comes in His presence. God also prepares you through humility. He teaches you that leadership in a marriage is not domination, and submission is not weakness. True strength is found in service. True authority is found in humility. Prophetic marriage requires both partners to bend before God, to surrender pride, and to walk together in unity. That is why in this season God may humble you. He may strip away arrogance. He may break the illusion of self-sufficiency. He may confront the areas where pride once ruled. It may sting, but it is necessary, for when He joins you to another, it must be two humble hearts, not two stubborn egos. And hear this with clarity: God is not only preparing you, He is also preparing the one He has chosen for you. Somewhere that person is being refined, tested, and molded just as you are. They may be walking through trials you cannot see, enduring battles you cannot imagine, learning lessons you will one day benefit from. This is why patience is vital. You are not waiting in vain. You are waiting while God works. He is aligning two lives, two destinies, two callings, until they converge at the appointed time. Do not rush what He is arranging, for premature unions birth unnecessary pain. When the time is right, His hand will bring you together, and the timing will be perfect. Another powerful sign is the way God begins to enlarge your vision. You no longer think only in terms of yourself. You begin to see in terms of legacy. You ask questions like, what will we build together? What impact will we leave? How will our covenant advance the will of God? That enlargement of vision is divine. It is not ambition, it is assignment. Prophetic marriage is never small, it always carries weight in the spiritual realm. That is why it must be birthed in prayer, sustained in faith, and protected by obedience. You will also notice that God will train your ears to hear His voice clearly. This is critical because prophetic marriage is not built on public opinion. Family may misunderstand, friends may doubt, society may criticize, but when God speaks, that is all the confirmation you need. He will teach you to trust His whisper above the noise. In the quiet hours of the night, in the stillness of prayer, in the depths of worship, you will hear Him guiding you, assuring you, preparing you. His voice will become your anchor, and when He finally gives the green light, you will walk in confidence, not confusion. So if you are in the season of preparation, take courage. Do not despise the breaking. Do not resist the refining. Do not grow weary in the waiting. Every step you are enduring now is part of a larger design. God is not preparing you for ordinary love. He is preparing you for covenant, for purpose, for a prophetic union that will echo in eternity. Trust Him, follow Him, and surrender fully to His timing. Because when His hand moves, nothing on earth or in the heavens can stop the union He has ordained. When God sets His hand to prepare you for a prophetic marriage, He does not simply touch the surface of your circumstances. He reshapes the depths of your soul. You may feel the ground beneath your feet shift, the familiar patterns of your life disrupted, and the very desires of your heart redefined. This is the evidence of God's craftsmanship, the sign that He is not just preparing you for love, but preparing you for destiny. For a prophetic marriage is not a mere partnership of two hearts. It is a divine covenant forged under His authority, created to withstand the storms of life and reflect His glory to the world. And so, in this season of preparation, God begins to uproot everything within you that is not built to last. He confronts your fears, your doubts, your insecurities, because He knows they cannot travel with you into the covenant He is preparing. Perhaps you feel a restlessness inside, a stirring that refuses to let you stay the same. That is God's hand upon you. He is drawing out of you every weakness that would sabotage your future, and He is planting within you the strength required to carry a union that is destined for greatness. Do not be surprised when He brings you face to face with yourself. For how can two walk together in truth if one has not first walked in truth with God? He will uncover the hidden corners of your heart, the pride you did not notice, the bitterness you thought you had buried, the fears you never dared to confess. He does this not to shame you, but to free you. He does it so that when He sends the one ordained for you, you will not project old wounds onto new blessings. He heals you now so that love may flourish without chains. Another mark of His preparation is the discipline of your spirit. God will not bring you into prophetic marriage if you cannot control your impulses, guard your words, and restrain your temper. He will allow circumstances that test your patience, that stretch your endurance, that teach you how to remain steady when everything around you shakes. Why? Because prophetic covenant demands consistency. It requires faithfulness in seasons of joy and in seasons of pain. And so He trains you in advance, shaping your character to endure, so that when the sacred union arrives, you will not crumble under its weight. You may also notice that God begins to realign your circle. People who once seemed close may suddenly fade. Voices you once trusted may no longer carry influence. Relationships you leaned on may dissolve without explanation. This can feel like loss, but in truth it is divine protection. God is not isolating you to punish you. He is isolating you to prepare you. He knows that prophetic marriages are fragile in their early stages, and so He clears away the noise, removing the distractions, so you can hear Him more clearly. When you feel alone, remember that aloneness with God is never emptiness. It is empowerment. In this process, God will ignite within you a deeper sense of vision. No longer will you view marriage as a matter of convenience or comfort. You will begin to sense that it is about calling, about impact, about purpose that stretches beyond yourself. You will realize that God is not simply giving you a spouse to ease your loneliness, but a partner to multiply your assignment. Together you will be stronger. Together you will cover more ground. Together you will reflect His light in ways you could not alone. This awareness is part of the preparation. It is the widening of your understanding so that you will not enter the covenant with small expectations, but with divine perspective. And as He prepares you, God will demand obedience in ways that seem difficult. He may call you to walk away from relationships that feel familiar but are not ordained. He may urge you to pursue paths that appear uncertain yet carry His direction. He may command you to release your own plans so that His plan may prevail. Obedience is not easy, but it is necessary. For if you cannot trust Him with your singleness, how will you trust Him with your marriage? Every act of obedience now lays the groundwork for your ability to stand united in covenant later. God also purifies your motives. You may think you know why you want to marry, but He will strip away the shallow desires. No longer will you crave marriage for status, for appearances, for fleeting pleasure. He will burn those motives away until what remains is pure, a desire to serve Him through union, a longing to reflect His order, a passion to build a legacy that honors His name. When this purification happens, you will know you are close, because God does not release a prophetic marriage into selfish hands. And let us not overlook this truth. In the season of preparation, God teaches you the language of peace. There will come a moment when everything around you looks uncertain, your future unclear, your timeline delayed, but within you rests a peace that cannot be shaken. That peace is not born of circumstance, it is born of His presence. It is His seal, His assurance, His whisper that says, I am working all things for your good. That peace will carry you until the day the covenant arrives, and it will remain with you long after, sustaining you through the challenges that will come. So if you are walking through breaking, if you are enduring pruning, if you are feeling the stretching of your soul, rejoice. For these are not signs of abandonment, they are signs of preparation. God is molding you, shaping you, aligning you for something greater than you could ever imagine. And when His time comes, you will see that every tear, every delay, every test was not wasted. They were building blocks, laying the foundation for a covenant that will glorify Him and stand as a testimony for generations to come. When God begins to prepare you for a prophetic marriage, He does not simply polish the surface of your life. He goes deep into the foundation. He knows that a covenant built on weak ground cannot stand against the winds of trial, so He starts by strengthening what is unseen. God works in the hidden places of your heart, in the thoughts you never speak aloud, in the motives you barely recognize. He is not only shaping what others will see, He is shaping what only He can see. Because the strength of a prophetic covenant depends not on outward appearance, but on the inner substance of those who carry it. This is why God will call you into seasons of silence. Not because He has forgotten you, but because He is teaching you to hear Him above every other voice. In the stillness, distractions fall away and clarity comes. Silence with God becomes a furnace of transformation. It is there that He teaches you discernment, so you will not confuse infatuation with destiny or convenience with calling. In silence, He trains you to recognize the difference between what flatters your emotions and what strengthens your soul. That is how He protects you from false unions, by sharpening your spiritual perception before the covenant arrives. In this preparation, God may test your patience more than anything else. He delays not to punish, but to purify. Waiting exposes what lives inside of you: impatience, doubt, or faith. God uses waiting as a mirror so that you see what still needs surrender. A prophetic marriage is not rushed, for what is rushed often collapses. God stretches time so that your roots may go deeper, your faith may grow stronger, and your capacity to carry the covenant may expand. Those who resist the impatience of the flesh and surrender to the timing of God discover that His delays are never denials. They are divine appointments in disguise. Another sign of God's preparation is that He begins to align your purpose with precision. You will feel a stronger pull toward the assignments He has given you. Your calling will come into sharper focus. God will not allow you to be joined to someone who diminishes your purpose. Instead, He shapes you so that you will recognize the one whose purpose complements yours. Prophetic marriage is never random. It is the union of two lives carrying assignments that interlock. When God is preparing you, He will not only teach you how to love another, but how to love His will above all. And understand this: when God prepares you, He allows tests that prove your loyalty. He may bring opportunities that seem attractive, but are not aligned with His plan. He will see if you choose temporary comfort over eternal assignment. He will watch if you obey His whisper or chase your own desire. Every decision in this season is training for covenant. If you compromise now, you will compromise later. But if you remain steadfast now, you will be unshakable when the covenant comes. Obedience in the preparation season is the greatest proof that you are ready for prophetic union. God also refines your endurance. He knows that prophetic marriages will be targeted, for they are not ordinary unions. They are vessels of His glory. Opposition will rise, storms will come, but if you have been trained in the wilderness, you will not falter in the storm. God strengthens you in private battles so that you may stand strong in future wars. He allows adversity not to break you, but to prove you. And when you come forth from those trials, you will carry resilience that cannot be shaken, a resilience that will sustain your covenant for a lifetime. One of the clearest marks of divine preparation is that God begins to awaken within you a love that is selfless. He breaks down the walls of selfishness, dismantles the idol of me, and trains you to think in terms of we. Prophetic marriage cannot survive on selfish desire. It thrives on sacrifice. God will teach you how to lay down your pride, how to forgive quickly, how to serve with humility. He will allow circumstances that demand selflessness, not because He wants to burden you, but because He is shaping you into a vessel of covenantal love. And finally, God secures your identity in Him. Before He brings you into covenant, He ensures that your worth is anchored in Him alone. If your identity rests in another human being, you will cling to them in fear instead of standing with them in strength. But when your worth is rooted in God, you will enter marriage whole, not broken. You will not need your partner to complete you. You will already be complete in God. And from that completeness flows a union that multiplies purpose, power, and peace. So take heart in the preparation. Every silence, every delay, every test, every pruning, it is evidence that God is at work. He is not preparing you for something ordinary. He is preparing you for a covenant that carries weight in eternity. And when His time comes, when His hand unites what He has ordained, no force in heaven or earth will be able to separate what God has established. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the heart pauses, when the mind quiets, and when you find yourself asking a question that shakes the very foundation of your being. Am I with the person God truly intended for me? That is no small question, my friend. That is not something you brush aside, because who you join your life with determines the rise or the fall of your spirit, the peace or the unrest of your days, and the blessings or the burdens that shape your destiny. And let me tell you with every ounce of conviction in me. God does not play games with your life. He does not scatter you in confusion or toss you into the arms of someone who will diminish the light He placed inside of you. No, when you are in love with the right person, there are divine signs that cannot be hidden, truths that cannot be erased, confirmations that echo from heaven to your heart until you know deep down that this bond is not by chance. It is written by the hand of God. You see, people may deceive you, feelings may fluctuate, emotions may mislead you, but the voice of God has a steadiness that no storm can silence. And when you open your eyes, not just with desire, but with discernment, you will begin to recognize when you are standing before the right soul, the one chosen for you, the one whose presence does not pull you away from God, but draws you nearer to Him. That is the first truth I must declare. Love is not proven merely by butterflies in the stomach or fleeting excitement in the veins. No, love is proven by whether it strengthens your walk with God. For if love drags you into shadows, it is not love. If it makes you compromise your values, it is not love. If it blinds you to righteousness and pulls you into temptation, it is not love. But if it makes you kneel more often, pray more sincerely, live more purposefully, and give thanks to God more consistently, then you may very well be touching the garment of something divine. There is a dangerous lie in the world today, a lie that tells you love is just about chemistry, about charm, about how someone makes you feel in the moment. But I tell you, feelings will lie to you, charm will fade, beauty will wither, but the hand of God will not falter. And if you are wise enough, humble enough, and prayerful enough to wait on God's confirmation, you will discover that there are signs, sacred signs, that mark when you are in the presence of the right person. These signs are not cheap tricks. They are not empty superstitions. They are the fingerprints of God upon your relationship, the whispers of heaven guiding you so you do not waste your years chasing illusions. I want you to think about this with me. How many hearts are broken today because people mistook passion for purpose? How many souls are wandering in regret because they mistook lust for love? How many have walked down the aisle blinded by excitement only to wake up later shackled by disillusionment? Do not be deceived, my friend. What God ordains, He sustains. And what is born only of your flesh will wither under the weight of life. So when you are with the right person, there will be strength beyond the surface, something that even time cannot erode. And if you will listen closely, if you will quiet the noise of the world and tune your spirit to God, you will know when love is not just an emotion, but a divine confirmation. The first sign is peace. I do not mean the shallow calm that comes and goes. I mean the deep, anchoring peace that seeps into your soul when you are with them. Have you ever noticed that the wrong person can excite you yet leave you restless, while the right person may not always dazzle you, but they steady you? When you are with the right one, there is a serenity that does not come from them alone, but from God speaking through them into your life. You stop striving, you stop pretending, you stop forcing. There is no chaos, no constant drama, no gnawing unease. Instead, there is quiet assurance as though God Himself is whispering, this is safe, this is right, this is good. That kind of peace cannot be manufactured. That kind of peace is not found in empty promises or sweet words. That kind of peace is divine, and if you do not feel it, if instead you feel constant turmoil, then no matter how much you want to force it, you must have the courage to accept that God may be telling you, this is not the one. The second sign is growth. God does not bring someone into your life just to keep you comfortable. He brings them to sharpen you, to lift you, to challenge you, to help you become the fullest version of who He designed you to be. The right person does not pull you away from your potential. They provoke it. They do not dim your light. They fan it into greater flame. They do not mock your dreams. They nurture them. They remind you of them when you forget. And they walk beside you as you pursue them. And here is the truth. When you are with the right person, you do not feel smaller, you do not feel weaker, you do not feel diminished. You feel like God is using their presence to expand you, to stretch you, to grow you. And that growth may be uncomfortable at times, but it will always be holy, always constructive, always aligned with the higher calling God placed upon your life. The third sign is endurance. Life is not a straight road. It is filled with valleys and storms, detours and delays. And if your love is only strong when the sun shines, it is not love. If your bond only holds when everything is easy, it is not from God. But when you are with the right person, your connection weathers the tempests. You may argue, yes, but you reconcile with grace. You may stumble, but you rise together. You may face loss, scarcity, pressure, but instead of crumbling, you cling tighter to each other and to God. The right person does not abandon you at the first sign of difficulty. They do not flee when the waters rise. They stand with you because they are bound to you not just by affection, but by a divine covenant. And I tell you, that kind of endurance is not man-made. It is not the product of willpower alone. It is a sign that God Himself is the third strand in the cord of your relationship, holding you together when everything else tries to pull you apart. And then there is the fourth sign, alignment. This is perhaps the most overlooked yet the most powerful. When you are in love with the right person, your values, your vision, your direction align under the will of God. You may not be identical, you may not agree on every detail, but the foundation of your lives points the same way. If you long to honor God and they long to honor God, if you desire integrity and they desire integrity, if you walk toward purpose and they walk toward purpose, then your steps fall in rhythm. But if one of you is walking toward light and the other toward darkness, sooner or later the road will split. So alignment is not about whether you like the same music or the same food. Alignment is about whether your souls share the same compass, whether your spirits are tuned to the same frequency of obedience to God. When they are, you do not have to drag each other, you move in harmony. That, my friend, is a divine sign. But let me pause here and tell you something important. These signs are not to be taken lightly. They are not suggestions to consider only when it is convenient. They are warnings and assurances straight from the wisdom of God. And if you ignore them, if you harden your heart because you prefer to chase fleeting passion, then you will pay the price in years of regret. God speaks not to control you, but to protect you. He shows you these signs because He loves you too much to let you stumble into ruin. And if you are humble enough to submit your love life to Him, He will guard you from heartbreak, He will lead you to the right one, and He will bless you with a relationship that glorifies Him. Think of it this way: when you choose without God, you gamble. But when you choose with God, you are guided, and guidance is priceless. Because love is not just about today, it is about tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and every day until the end of your life. You do not want someone who only excites you now but exhausts you later. You want someone who inspires you today and will still be standing beside you decades from now, their hand in yours, their heart aligned with yours, their faith lifting yours. That is what it means to be with the right person. And that is why you must let God lead. Do not let the world rush you. Do not let loneliness trick you. Do not let pressure push you. Wait on God, for when the right person enters your life, the signs will be undeniable. Peace will steady you. Growth will shape you. Endurance will sustain you. Alignment will guide you. And when all these come together, you will know, not because your heart is infatuated, but because your spirit is confirmed. And when your spirit is confirmed, you will walk in love without fear, without doubt, without confusion, because you will know this is not just a relationship. This is a divine appointment. When God is the foundation of your love, no storm can destroy it, no doubt can corrode it, and no enemy can uproot it. For what God plants, He protects, and what He blesses, He sustains. And I want you to understand something that will change how you see love forever. The right person is not simply someone who makes you happy. They are someone who makes you holy. Happiness is fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind. But holiness, the purity of walking in alignment with God, that is eternal. So when you look into the eyes of the one you love, you must ask yourself, does this bond make me a better servant of God? Do they lift me closer to Him, or do they pull me further away? Do they guard my soul, or do they tempt my weakness? Because love that is not centered on God is not love at all. It is illusion. It is a mirage in the desert, promising refreshment, but leaving you thirstier than before. The right person will guard your dignity, not exploit it. They will respect the boundaries God has set, not trample them in pursuit of selfish desire. They will see the value of your soul before the value of your body, because they know the soul is eternal while beauty fades with the passing of time. And you will know, deep in the quiet chambers of your heart, that this is different from the shallow attention of the world. For when God is present in your love, you will feel dignity where the world feels disgrace, you will feel clarity where the world feels confusion, and you will feel purpose where the world feels aimlessness. That is the mark of a relationship that has God's fingerprints upon it. Now let me tell you something that may cut deep, but must be said with love. Many people confuse desperation for destiny. Loneliness becomes so heavy that they grab the first hand that reaches out, mistaking proximity for providence. But God never rushes, God never panics, God never pressures you into the wrong arms. If you feel like you must compromise your values just to be loved, then it is not from God. If you must beg for respect, it is not from God. If you must silence your convictions to keep their attention, it is not from God. For the love ordained by God will never demand you to betray Him to keep it alive. Instead, it will thrive precisely because you honor Him together. Do not let the impatience of your flesh rob you of the masterpiece God is preparing. When He brings the right person into your life, their presence will not bring confusion but clarity. They will not weaken your faith but strengthen it. They will not silence your prayers but join them. And here is the truth you must hold on to. If the relationship you are in constantly forces you to doubt, to compromise, to sin, then no matter how sweet it looks, it is poison to your soul. But if the relationship makes you fall on your knees in gratitude, if it makes you guard your integrity more fiercely, if it makes you thank God even in ordinary moments, then you are standing on holy ground. The right person will also be tested with you. Many people think love is proven only in good times, but God shows you the truth of someone's heart when life turns heavy. When the storms of life rage, the wrong one runs, but the right one stays. When resources are scarce, the wrong one complains, but the right one finds gratitude. When challenges arise, the wrong one blames you, but the right one supports you. For true love is not proven in the sunshine, but in the storm, not in the plenty, but in the famine, not in the laughter, but in the tears. And if God has placed the right one in your life, you will see them stand beside you not because it is easy, but because it is ordained. Let me remind you, love is a divine trust. God places someone in your life not for you to abuse, neglect, or manipulate, but to protect, honor, and cherish. The right person will never treat your heart as a toy or your emotions as a game. They will handle your soul with reverence because they know God is watching. And you too must do the same. For love is not one-sided. It is a sacred partnership under the eyes of God. If you want to know whether you are in love with the right person, ask yourself, do I treat them as a gift from God? Do I guard their dignity as I guard my own? Do I encourage them to walk closer to Him? Because love that does not honor God is not worthy of the name. When two souls align under God's direction, something remarkable happens. Their union becomes more than companionship, it becomes ministry. Their home becomes a sanctuary of peace. Their words become tools of encouragement. Their struggles become opportunities to witness God's faithfulness. Together they shine as a light in a world drowning in darkness, showing that love is not just about pleasure, but about purpose. You see, the world will tell you that love is about what you get, but God shows you that love is about what you give. The world measures love by passion, but God measures it by patience. The world says love is about excitement, but God says it is about endurance. So the right person is not the one who thrills your body for a season, but the one who guards your soul for a lifetime. But here is the beauty. When you are with the one God has chosen, even the smallest moments become sacred. A simple conversation feels like nourishment. A shared silence feels like peace. A glance across the room feels like reassurance. It is not grand gestures that prove it, but the consistent presence of God flowing through even the ordinary moments. And in those moments, you will find yourself saying, "Thank you, God. This is right. This is blessed." That is how you know. Be careful, my friend, not to confuse temporary attraction with eternal confirmation. The wrong person can shine bright for a season, but their light fades and it leaves you stumbling in the dark. But the right person, even if the world overlooks them, will be like a steady flame that never dies out. God Himself will breathe on that bond and it will endure. That is why you must pray not for the most charming person, not for the wealthiest, not for the most beautiful, but for the one whom God has approved, for only His approval secures your future. Do not be swayed by the shallow definitions of love promoted by the world. The world glamorizes lust and calls it love. The world praises infatuation and calls it destiny. The world glorifies possession and calls it romance. But God calls love something much higher, much purer, much stronger. It is about peace, growth, endurance, and alignment under His will. And when you are with the right person, you will not have to wonder endlessly. God will confirm it. He will settle your spirit. He will remove the confusion. He will plant such a deep assurance in you that no voice of doubt can uproot it. When you stand before God asking Him to guide your heart, you must realize that love is not only about companionship, it is about stewardship. God is entrusting you with another soul, another life, another heart that beats under His command. The right person is not someone you claim as property. They are someone you serve as a sacred trust from God. And when God gives you that trust, He watches carefully how you handle it. Do you nurture it, or do you neglect it? Do you protect it, or do you play with it? The way you treat love becomes a testimony of how much you honor God, because if you cannot treat His blessing with reverence, then you cannot expect Him to multiply it. The right person will not only stand with you in the easy seasons, but also reveal the strength of their soul when you walk through fire. And you will see how God uses trials not to break you, but to prove to you that this bond is real. The storms do not destroy love blessed by God, they refine it. The hardships do not crush it, they fortify it. Every challenge becomes a furnace where your devotion is tested, and if the person remains, if they hold you when the world shakes, then you know that God Himself is binding you together. This is why love without God is fragile. It shatters under the weight of life. But love with God is unbreakable, because it is not merely two people holding onto each other, it is two people being held together by Him. Now listen closely, the right person will not idolize you, nor will you idolize them. They will not demand that you place them above God, and you will not place them above Him either. Because when you love someone more than you love God, the relationship will eventually collapse under the imbalance. True love keeps God first. And when God is first, love flows in order, pure, steady, unwavering. This is why so many relationships fail. People put another human being in the place only God deserves, expecting them to satisfy a need only He can fill. But when two people both put God at the center, they stop demanding perfection from each other, and they begin offering grace. They stop expecting their partner to heal them, and they begin healing together in God's presence. That is the mark of a love that will endure. And hear me when I say this, the right person will never compete with God for your attention. They will never resent your devotion to prayer. They will never mock your obedience. They will never pull you away from worship. Instead, they will join you in it. They will walk with you to God's presence, not distract you from it. If someone is jealous of your time with God, they are not for you. If someone laughs at your conviction, they are not for you. If someone tries to replace God in your heart, they are not for you. For the right one will always strengthen your devotion, not weaken it. The presence of the right person will also teach you something profound about patience. Love that is ordained by God does not rush. It does not pressure. It does not demand shortcuts. It knows that anything real can withstand time. The wrong person will push you into haste, because they know what they offer cannot endure examination. But the right person will walk with you at God's pace, even if it takes longer than you imagined. They will not force a timeline out of fear. They will trust God's timing out of faith. And that kind of patience is evidence of love's purity. For lust is impatient, but love waits. Infatuation is reckless, but love is careful. Selfish desire takes, but God-ordained love gives. And let me remind you, when God is writing your love story, He does not just prepare the other person, He prepares you. Sometimes the delay is not because the right person is far, but because you are not yet ready to carry the responsibility of that kind of blessing. The right person is not simply a gift, they are also a test. God will not hand them to you if you are still careless with your own soul, if you are still reckless with your commitments, if you are still living without discipline. So before you ask whether you have found the right person, ask whether you have become the right person. For God will not place His treasure in hands that cannot protect it. And here is a truth that should pierce your heart. The right person is not always the easiest to love, but they are the one worth loving. There will be moments when they challenge you, moments when they correct you, moments when they reveal the flaws you would rather hide, and that is not to wound you, but to help you grow. For God uses the right one not to flatter your ego, but to sharpen your spirit. They will hold up a mirror to you, and though it may sting at times, it will save you from destruction. Do not confuse discomfort with incompatibility. Sometimes the very friction you feel is God using them to refine you. The love lost by God will also be marked by honor. The right person will speak of you with respect whether you are in the room or not. They will not tear you down in anger. They will not shame you before others. They will not treat your name carelessly, for they understand that to dishonor you is to dishonor the God who joined you, and you will do the same for them. That mutual honor creates an atmosphere where trust thrives, where wounds heal quickly, where forgiveness flows easily. Without honor, love suffocates. With honor, love breathes, and when love breathes, it lasts. Let us be clear about one more thing: the right person will not distract you from your mission in life. They will amplify it. They will not strip you of your calling. They will remind you of it. They will not hold you back. They will push you forward. And in turn, you will do the same for them. This is how you know it is from God, when your union does not shrink your purpose but multiplies it. For God never unites two people just for comfort. He unites them for a greater cause. When your love serves a purpose beyond your own desires, when it becomes a force for goodness, when it leaves behind a legacy of righteousness, then you can be certain that God Himself is the architect of your union. But if you truly desire that kind of love, you must have courage. Courage to wait, courage to walk away from the wrong one, courage to trust God even when you do not understand His timing. Many have missed the blessing of the right person because they settled for what was available instead of waiting for what was ordained. They chose quickly out of fear rather than patiently out of faith, and years later they carry the weight of regret. Do not let that be your story. Trust God enough to believe that He knows who is right for you, and that when the time is perfect, He will reveal it. There is something sacred in the way God weaves two lives together when it is His will. It is not coincidence, it is not luck, it is not chance, it is divine orchestration. God does not simply place the right person into your path to soothe your loneliness. He places them there because together you will reflect His glory in ways you could never achieve apart. That is why the right person feels like more than a companion. They feel like a destiny shaper, someone who pulls you into alignment with the greater purpose God designed for your life. And you will know this, not just by how they make you feel, but by how your very spirit responds in their presence. The right one will never require you to abandon your faith to hold on to them. Instead, they will deepen your devotion to God, and you must be wise enough to discern the difference. For there are many who will speak sweet words, but their actions lead you away from prayer. Many will promise love, but they stir chaos in your soul. Many will look right in the eyes of people, but before God they are not right for you. Do not be blinded by appearances. Do not be deceived by charm. The right person is not proven by outward display, but by inward fruit, the fruit of peace, patience, kindness, humility, and steadfastness in the ways of God. And here is what you must hold on to: the right person is not perfect, but they are purposeful. They will have flaws as you do, but those flaws will not corrupt the bond, because God will use even your differences as instruments of growth. Too often, people discard relationships at the first sign of imperfection, forgetting that God never promised perfection. He promised partnership. The right one will not be flawless, but their flaws will not destroy you. Instead, together you will learn forgiveness, patience, and humility. In this way, God shapes both of you to resemble more of His wisdom and less of your selfishness. When you are with the right person, you will also notice that God brings confirmation